Hello and welcome today. My name is Rose Reevely. I'm a Vedic astrologer and welcome to Awakening Through Astrology and Healing. This show will be highlighting alternative healers who are changing lives and helping people transform, awaken, and bring light to the planet. If you haven't already, please remember to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. There are many alternative and holistic modalities available. We also refer to them as mind, body, spirit, or mind, body, energy connection. This is the kind of energy work that we will be talking about and we'll be exploring on this show. Today, my guest is Heather Day. Heather is a priestess who works with womb awakening. Her work is about the sacred union and emotional embodiment that awakens the powerful feminine pathways in both, and I emphasize this, in both the masculine and the feminine. Welcome to the show, Heather.
Hi.
So I find your work so fascinating. So let's begin with you telling our viewers how you got started in this kind of work.
I think the beginning of this work for me just happened naturally along my own healing journey and just that journey inward, finding myself, working on healing myself. And, eventually I just started feeling the call. I had all of this information, this wealth of information that I just felt like it was bursting out of me that I needed to share. And so that kind of spawned the beginning of my podcast. Mm-hmm. And then eventually that just kind of grew into, as I continued my journey, that just grew as I discovered my gifts just in my own natural pathways, finding myself. It just kind of exposed all of the gifts that I'm here to share with others.
Good. Talk to us a little bit about emotional embodiment. What does that mean?
So emotional embodiment, to me, this is sort of a foundational aspect of our healing practices. For probably half of my healing journey, I used exclusively energy psychology modalities to help shift through unwanted habits and feelings that, I wasn't enjoying having. And maybe about a year or a year and a half ago, I really started to feel like there was a part of me that felt disempowered in that area, working through those feelings, working through shifting those habits. And I continued to work with the mentor that I was working with because that modality worked. But I also started to sense that there was a depth of myself that I wasn't connecting to, that there was this depth of emotion that I was really actually afraid of tapping into. I was really afraid that it actually might overwhelm me. And so, I continued my journey and seeking the mentors and calling in what I needed for my path. And I came across emotional embodiment. And this process it's just a process of learning how to invite in all of these circumstances, all of these emotions that we aren't wanting, to really sit with them and allow them to tell us the story that they have to tell us, and allow them to release their grip enough for us to really see what's underneath, because the habits and the strong feelings that we're having that we're not enjoying, they're always there with, just this little tender spot below them, this little gift that they have below them for us to see. And embodiment is the process of seeing that, calling it in, understanding it and walking with it in unconditional love, and then being able to transform that into the feeling or habit that we desire to be embodying, and really feeling that come into our body in the process. Mm-hmm. And then moving forward as that embodied feeling.
So it kind of sounds like you're taking these negative feelings, emotions, and that you're clearing them or working through them to understand deeper what they're trying to tell you. Is that
whenever
close?
Yeah, you know, whenever we experience any kind of trauma, emotional trauma, or when we experience a really strong feeling that we withhold for fear of it not being polite or it not being acceptable to express, that creates some tension in our body. And so without accessing these feelings, without kind of going to that cage and unlocking it ourselves and allowing that to flow, eventually so much of those kinds of situations can happen that it'll start to dam up the flow of our vitality, of our natural soul's expression. And we'll start to act from spaces of fear, and we'll start to actually see that reflected to us in the world and in the situations that we experience. The soul, I believe, is always working toward its most pure expression, and it's always working to release whatever tension is there preventing that. Mm-hmm. And in order for it to do that, we end up seeing these things outside of us that are reflecting to us. Mm-hmm. These situations, these relationships, these habits, these feelings that are recurring in an attempt to gain our attention, to go inward and see really what's going on there, really what's causing this reflection to continue its repetition. So rather than projecting outward and saying, oh, well, this is just the way the world is, or this is just the way my life is, really, if we go inward, we can create major shifts in our circumstances that way.
Yeah. What pain are people experiencing when they might look to you for, relief, for guidance, for counsel? What pain would they be going through?
I mean, this could be anything from, a feeling of that lack of depth, that lack of connection with self, to, the kind of repetition in their relationships or in their situations that they're not happy with, kind of a feeling of not inhabiting the situation in life that they desire and not really knowing how to break through to that. Mm-hmm. It could be a disconnect in relationships. I mean, there's all kinds of, there's so many triggers for really seeking and desiring this kind of work, even for people who have, quote unquote, done a lot of internal work. Mm-hmm. Those that are struggling, maybe they're doing Kundalini, or they've done, energy psychology or yoga and meditation, or maybe even plant medicine, and maybe they've seen some results from those things, but still these emotions arise. Maybe they have an anger or a frustration or a loneliness or an anxiety that continues to keep coming, and they just don't know how to hold it. Either they kind of sit with it and maybe they get lost in the abyss of it and it overtakes them, or they're trying to shut it off and they find themselves just closing off more and more, and really feeling that kind of fatigue that comes from that closing off. So there's so many things that might call somebody that are kind of like a hallmark of that needing to go within.
As someone who's done a lot of self work, many of us in healing have, as you have too. There is no replacement, I feel, for, you can do a lot of self work alone, but there is no replacement for a facilitator, for someone to facilitate or guide. You can look at it in different ways: guide, facilitate, counsel you along the way. Can you give us an example of, without names or anything, of just of an experience that maybe one of your clients went through, or a shift that they had, or maybe even that you had or experienced, where you felt there was healing for them or for you, that was profound healing?
Oh my gosh, so much. I mean, there have been so many of my own. Most recently, a woman that I was working with, she hasn't even taken actually a formal course. I had just kind of sat with her kind of in a friendly way. And I was really just moved by this. You know, we just sat down and we kind of discussed, and I actually allowed her to watch one of my practices, one of my embodiment practices. And it made her cry. And she just took what we kind of went over, and from seeing what I did, she just took those things home and embodied them in her own way and created this shift that she had been showing up in this certain way in a relationship for 30 years. And no matter how many times she tried to get out of that relationship, she would be sucked back into it. And she was able to create the shifts and embody the feelings of really being able to release those habits and the feelings that drew those habits in. And so sure enough, the opportunity came back around for her to repeat that pattern, and she handled it completely differently. And she felt completely embodied in handling it that way. It wasn't forced. And I was just over the moon, because really, to me, that's the hallmark of a really beautiful practice, is that it's so intuitive and it feels so natural that you can take the foundations of it, make it your own, and create these shifts. And so that's my goal with the embodiment portion. And I do feel so strongly that we're not here to do this alone, and that we certainly could do it alone, but the process is so much easier and it's so much faster when we're able to find those who have already walked the path before us. But I also feel very strongly that mentors are made to be outgrown, that we may be here and resonate with somebody for a time where our paths are parallel, where we can shine a light on our path as far as we've gone, and their path is parallel for long enough that they're able to use that light that we can shine. But then they've got their own gifts to go and explore and to master, and they're going to be going and looking for somebody else. And so, you know, the very first thing that I do with my clients is this feminine embodiment, which is really just connecting to the feminine energy within, which is the emotion, and really being able to go into those depths without being so afraid of what you're going to find there, really feeling a sense of empowerment there. And then from there, I'm able to guide them using my gifts of mapping from my path that leads me through, and leads my clients, therefore, through the grail grids of our bodies, through the masculine and feminine archetypes, and eventually into sacred union. And so that's where I spend the majority of my time with my clients. And, you know, as they return to me, this is the path that we're walking, that we're navigating. And I've handed them the tools to be able to address those feelings and those things that are coming up as we're walking this path, as we're navigating with the archetypes, as we're kind of weaving through this map. Then, you know, each little thing that's brought up for us to clear, they're able to clear without having to go and search for somebody to help them do that part.
You know, you just mentioned the masculine and the feminine, and, you know, you and I talked a little about this, because I mean, my initial thought was that it was work, you know, specifically targeted at feminine energy. And you actually really addressed that with me. Talk a little about that the masculine is so much a part of this work too, right? I mean,
yes, absolutely. So right now we're hearing a lot about feminine awakening and feminine empowerment and all of those things. And it's not just about women. It is about women, because we're here to claim our path and our power again, but we all have masculine and feminine energies within our bodies. And both of these energies must be addressed, explored with, and brought to their fullness of expression, their mature, emotionally mature expressions, in order for us to be, you know, sovereign, to feel more sovereign, in order for us to feel that self-love, in order for us to really feel that incorporation within. And so, yeah, I actually, so many of my mentors and so many of the women who do not only the embodiment work, but also the womb awakening work and all of these things, they really feel called to work mostly with the women in this world. And I feel very, very strongly called to hold a really special sacred space for the masculine, that of a feminine that is embodied, that holds that space of unconditional love and nourishment and acceptance for them as they are, as they're working on transforming, because it is through the feminine that the masculine becomes rebirthed to its maturity.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel really called to be that container for the masculine as he explores both his feminine and his masculine energies, and really discovers how to alchemize that, to potentize that powerful masculine energy, and to really explore the safe ways to fully embody that energy and the ways that feel best and most authentic to them.
Yeah. So, who would be your, like, tell me a little bit more about this. All sounds like energy shifting to me, right? It's just, you're shifting out of probably very old and even patterning that comes from other lifetimes. You know, that's because we have lived many, and this is of course my opinion, I feel we have lived many lifetimes, even thousands, and so we bring a lot of that into this life, and often we don't even understand our patterning, right? Our patterns. We have a blind spot where it comes to our pattern. So it sounds like to me a lot of what you're doing is helping people understand it and clear it and move beyond it. Is that, am I close?
Yeah. Really. I think the best analogy that I really love to use is, at our core, we all have this incredibly pure, sovereign soul with these amazing gifts of service that we're here to birth and bring to the earth right now. And over that, there are these veils, or, you know, or you can view it as, you can either view it like an onion, like there's these layers that are kind of, you know, shielding it, or even like a river that has kind of a dammed up flow. It's all there. Everything is within us. Everything that we are here to embody and explore, all of the power and the vitality and the sensuality, and everything is all within us. It's just been dammed up by these unexpressed emotions, by these, and really all habits and all of these recurring emotions, all of these recurring situations are all happening because of either an unexpressed emotion or because of a belief system that we have integrated as a result of our experiences that is not in alignment with that flow. And so, yeah, my goal is to help to, you know, break that dam up, or to peel those layers away so that the authentic soul can shine through.
Mm-hmm.
And I do agree that, you know, we are multidimensional beings having a human experience, and we've had these experiences. You know, we may be an old soul that's had thousands of these experiences, or maybe we're a younger soul, but these experiences that we've, you know, lived through in our life, these past life experiences, I really believe that whatever you're not able to transmute in a previous life, whatever you're not able to kind of break free of to allow that flow, is what you bring into the current life that we're experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
And that we will continue to have situations brought to us to shine a light on those things. And the universe, I feel, continues to bring us situations that are stronger and stronger and stronger. Sometimes I feel like it's kind of like a grandmother kind of smacking you upside the head.
Yes, yes.
Trying to get you to listen, trying to get you to focus and look inward to create those shifts. So
I agree. That's a great analogy. I've said too before that when we don't listen or pay attention, the message gets louder, right? It just it just eventually gets louder. and louder for us. So let me ask you this before we start to wrap up. Do you find this now with time? I sense and feel, and also I kind of see that people are, well, this is called the Great Awakening, but people are starting to heal on a faster rate. Do you sense that with your intuitive side, that there's healing, that if we seek it, it's almost like it doesn't take, there was a time when people spent 10, 15, 20 years in therapy. That's not really even, I feel, necessary anymore. Do you encounter this kind of quicker, rapid, more healing, linear time? I don't know how to explain it. It's something about time now seems to have speeded up in a way that we can accomplish this faster.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think it's like the veils have thinned, and I also attribute this to the increase in the Schumann resonance, which is forcing our vibrational frequencies higher. But yes, absolutely. I think that it's a combination of, that Schumann resonance forcing those things, and there's so many world situations right now that are really forcing, as a global collective, us to look at so many things that have to do with those feminine chakras, from our security and connection, and our very visceral, most basal expression of self, how we're showing up in the world, how we're connecting in the world, where we're feeling safe. All of these things, our relationships are just feeling really, they are really just having a light shown on them all right now in a pretty uncomfortable way for a lot of people. And outside of that, I think that another part of that reason is so many people have been working on healing for so long and kind of wading through that thick muck. And as we do that, we're all connected energetically. And so as we continue healing ourselves, that sends out, that healing energy, and that sends out that higher vibrational frequency. And it's got this kind of exponential effect on those around us. And so as one person heals and another person heals, it has an exponential kind of healing effect. So
yeah, I love that. I love that too. So, I just, the best work that we do is on ourselves, because it's almost like it's a gift to us, but it's a gift to everyone around us, and even people that we don't know. It's like it just keeps giving.
Yeah.
So Heather, tell us this. First of all, we're going to do some additional interviews with you, because I feel like the kind of work that you do, we can dive deeper into it, and go deeper and deeper into understanding how it can help people shift, and the types of people that you can work with and help. So I want to do that, but I want to be sure that we let our viewers and listeners know how we can find you. Where can we connect with you, and how can we find you?
Yeah, so the easiest way is on my website at releaseyourphoenix.com.
Okay.
I generally have, any upcoming events on there. I've got more information about the archetypes and sacred union on there. And also my contact information is on there to book a consultation call. So that's a really great space. All my podcasts are on there. And then also, through my email, you can actually email me through there. You can contact me through there and everything. And I do have a workshop coming up October 1st. It's called Sovereign Embodiment. It's going to be a series of 3 workshops, actually, where we will be exploring the tools of embodiment, as well as our sovereign archetype, and really bringing those 2 pieces together so that we can have more direction and sense of purpose and empowerment in our lives.
I love that. All right, so all of that information is on your website, Release Your Phoenix. Is that what you said?
Yep, releaseyourphoenix.com.
Okay, perfect, beautiful. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here today, and I look forward to visiting with you and talking with you again. We're going to do some more and absolutely bring in some more information. And so thanks so much, and I look forward to the next time we get together. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Heather. Namaste.
Namaste.
Bye.